You teach best what you most need to learn. Richard Bach. All I have seen teaches me to trust the Creator for all I have not seen. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Either you run the day or the day runs you. Jim Rohn. Never forget the 3 powerful resources you always have available to you: love, prayer, and forgiveness. H. Jackson Brown Jr. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Epictetus. My attitude is that if you push me towards something that you think is a weakness, then I will turn that perceived weakness into a strength. Michael Jordan. In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man, and brave, and hated and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. Mark Twain. Without leaps of imagination, or dreaming, we lose the excitement of possibilities. Dreaming, after all, is a form of planning. Gloria Steinem. I have just returned from visiting the Marines at the front, and there is not a finer fighting organization in the world. Douglas MacArthur. The successful man will profit from his mistakes and try again in a different way. Dale Carnegie. Your family and your love must be cultivated like a garden. Time, effort, and imagination must be summoned constantly to keep any relationship flourishing and growing. Jim Rohn. Being ready is not what matters. What matters is winning after you get there. Victor H. Krulik. Let my soul smile through my heart and my heart smile through my eyes, that I may scatter rich smiles in sad hearts. Paramahansa Yogananda. We should not judge people by their peak of excellence, but by the distance they have traveled from the point where they started. Henry Ward Beecher. One reason so few of us achieve what we truly want is that we never direct our focus, we never concentrate our power. Most people dabble their way through life, never deciding to master anything in particular. Tony Robbins. Learning is not attained by chance, it must be sought for with ardor and diligence. Abigail Adams. We've all got both light and dark inside us. What matters is the part we choose to act on. That's who we really are. J.K. Rowling. Our freedom can be measured by the number of things we can walk away from. Vernon Howard. The highest form of worship is the worship of unselfish Christian service. The greatest form of praise is the sound of consecrated feet seeking out the lost and helpless. Billy Graham. Nothing I've ever done has given me more joys and rewards than being a father to my children. Bill Cosby. One isn't necessarily born with courage, but one is born with potential. Without courage, we cannot practice any other virtue with consistency. We can't be kind, true, merciful, generous, or honest. Maya Angelou. What is hell? I maintain that it is the suffering of being unable to love. Fyodor Dostoevsky. If you can learn to love yourself and all the flaws, you can love other people so much better. And that makes you so happy. Kristin Chenoweth. There is only one corner of the universe you can be certain of improving, and that's your own self. Aldous Huxley. There is not one blade of grass, there is no color in this world that is not intended to make men rejoice. John Calvin. Stay away from what might have been, and look at what can be. Marcia Petrie Sue. Success is achieved by developing our strengths, not by eliminating our weaknesses. Marilyn Vos Savon. Do not seek to follow in the footsteps of the wise. Seek what they sought. Matsuo Basho. In 3 words I can sum up everything I've learned about life, it goes on. Robert Frost. We think too much and feel too little. Charlie Chaplin. Failure is simply a few errors in judgment, repeated every day. Jim Rohn. Missions is not the ultimate goal of the church. Worship is. Missions exists because worship doesn't. John Piper. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. John Wooden. Great spirits have always encountered opposition from mediocre minds. The mediocre mind is incapable of understanding the man who refuses to bow blindly to conventional prejudices and chooses instead to express his opinions courageously and honestly. Albert Einstein. Maturity is the ability to think, speak and act your feelings within the bounds of dignity. The measure of your maturity is how spiritual you become during the midst of your frustrations. Samuel Ullman. Do what you feel in your heart to be right, for you'll be criticized anyway. You'll be damned if you do, and damned if you don't. Eleanor Roosevelt. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. John F. Kennedy. Human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. William James. I pretended to be somebody I wanted to be until finally I became that person. Or he became me. Cary Grant. The only way that I could figure they could improve upon Coca-Cola, one of life's most delightful elixirs, which studies prove will heal the sick and occasionally raise the dead, is to put bourbon in it. Louis Grizzard. It is not until you become a mother that your judgment slowly turns to compassion and understanding. Irma Bombeck. You must make a decision that you are going to move on. It won't happen automatically. You will have to rise up and say, I don't care how hard this is, I don't care how disappointed I am, I'm not going to let this get the best of me. I'm moving on with my life. Joel Osteen. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Malcolm X. Searching and learning is where the miracle process all begins. Jim Rohn. These young guys are playing checkers. I'm out there playing chess. Kobe Bryant. I firmly believe that any man's finest hour, the greatest fulfillment of all that he holds dear, is that moment when he has worked his heart out in a good cause and lies exhausted on the field of battle, victorious. Vince Lombardi. If we're growing, we're always going to be out of our comfort zone. John C. Maxwell. It doesn't matter which side of the fence you get off on sometimes. What matters most is getting off. You cannot make progress without making decisions. Jim Rohn. Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls, the most massive characters are seared with scars. Khalil Gibran. Greed is a bottomless pit which exhausts the person in an endless effort to satisfy the need without ever reaching satisfaction. Erich Fromm. When I was 5 years old, my mother always told me that happiness was the key to life. When I went to school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wrote down, happy. They told me I didn't understand the assignment, and I told them they didn't understand life. John Lennon. You just can't beat the person who never gives up. Babe Ruth. Common sense is the collection of prejudices acquired by age 18. Albert Einstein. Our attitude towards others determines their attitude towards us. Earl Nightingale. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Be nice to people on your way up because you'll meet them on your way down. Wilson Misner. If we learn to open our hearts, anyone, including the people who drive us crazy, can be our teacher. Pema Chodron. There is some good in this world, and it's worth fighting for. J.R.R. Tolkien. The cost of freedom is always high, but Americans have always paid it. And one path we shall never choose, and that is the path of surrender, or submission. John F. Kennedy. Carpe diem, rejoice while you are alive. Enjoy the day. Live life to the fullest. Make the most of what you have. It is later than you think. Horace. Your mind is working at its best when you're being paranoid. You explore every avenue and possibility of your situation at high speed with total clarity. Banksy. Without a sense of urgency, desire loses its value. Jim Rohn. Whatever good things we build end up building us. Jim Rohn. The purpose of life is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience. Eleanor Roosevelt. They're on our right, they're on our left, they're in front of us, they're behind us, they can't get away from us this time. Chesty Puller. I'm not in this world to live up to your expectations and you're not in this world to live up to mine. Bruce Lee. The major value in life is not what you get. The major value in life is what you become. Jim Rohn. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Abraham Lincoln. We have to be careful in how we use this light shined on us. Melinda Gates. To solve any problem, here are 3 questions to ask yourself. First, what could I do? Second, what could I read? And third, who could I ask? Jim Rohn. You've got to know your limitations. I don't know what your limitations are. I found out what mine were when I was 12. I found out that there weren't too many limitations, if I did it my way. Johnny Cash. I always wonder why birds choose to stay in the same place when they can fly anywhere on the earth, then I ask myself the same question. Harun Yahya. To love means loving the unlovable. To forgive means pardoning the unpardonable. Faith means believing the unbelievable. Hope means hoping when everything seems hopeless. Gilbert K. Chesterton. Be brave, take risks. Nothing can substitute experience. Paulo Coelho. If you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. Jim Rohn. It is neither wealth nor splendor, but tranquility and occupation which give you happiness. Thomas Jefferson. 1,000 words will not leave so deep an impression as one deed. Henrik Ibsen.